Hey guys, welcome back to OverLand. My name is Chad, and today we are standing outside of a sleepy little mountain town that is the gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park. So today we're standing outside of a town that I have a certain affinity towards since I went to junior high and high school here. It wasn't until I was bringing my wife here to regale her with the stories of my childhood that she actually smacked me in the head and said, "Why don't you make a video about this?" So let's take a tour of Estes Park, Colorado. So there's three ways into Estes Park during the wintertime. It's Highway 36, which we're on right now, Highway 34, which comes up from Loveland, and Highway 7, which comes in through Allens Park. In the summertime, you actually have Trail Ridge Road that opens up, and you can actually drive in through the park. But you would need a park pass, and you also have to do timed entry, so that's a bit of a pain in the butt. As we enter into town on Highway 36 here, we're actually going to cross the causeway that goes across the Lake Estes, which is a 187-acre man-made reservoir that is actually pretty good for trout fishing and all that stuff. Just be aware that there is a catch and release policy for anything in the northern end of the Big Thompson River system. So off to your left over here, you can see that you've got the Estes Park Dog Park, which is, your fur baby's friend is going to be, that's going to be their favorite part. Sky loves that spot. And right as you come in on Highway 36 is one of the best places to spot park in Estes Park. It is a free parking garage that is just outside of the Estes Park Visitor Center. They do have a charging station, so you can charge your vehicle there, and it's actually really close to everything. Now, one of the main reasons that I do actually park at this parking garage is not only do you have free charging over there, is it's also on the Riverwalk that goes down through downtown Estes Park as well. There is a 4-mile trail that goes down around Lake Estes and then around the front of Olympus Dam and back over here. It actually does go past the dog park, and there is a little underpass that goes underneath the Highway 34 along next to the dog park, and you can cross under there, get to the dog park, and you can also get to the high school, and also there's a huge walking trail system that goes out all the way out to Carriage Hills. So as we cross over the bridge getting into the visitor center, right out in front right here, there is 5 shuttle buses that pick up, go all over downtown, and a couple shuttle buses actually go up in Rocky Mountain National Park. So it's really good to grab those and go, so you don't have to play timed entry garbage and deal with all the parking at the trailheads. And those shuttle buses pick up right here. So yeah, it's I'll leave a link to the shuttle bus and the hiker shuttle bus schedules down below. So it's just outside the visitor center. This is going to be a test of my new microphone system because it is windy. So as we pass the visitor center, this concrete path right here actually goes all the way through downtown. It's called the Riverwalk, and it goes along the Big Thompson River over here behind all of the shops on this end of town. So as you can see, the Riverwalk is pretty slow in the wintertime, but it's actually not too bad in the summertime either. There's a little bit less traffic back here than there is out on Main Street. For Estes Park is a town that pushes about 1 million people a month in the summertime through the little town here. So, and the town itself is only like, the main drag of shopping is only about 2,200 feet from end to end. So yeah, parking and walking space is a premium in the summertime. But as you can see, this Riverwalk is pretty nice because you still have access to all the shops. Well, at least the shops on this side of town. I just want to point out this restaurant, Ed's Cantina. It used to be just like a cheapo freaking Mexican restaurant, but they've actually gone pretty upscale in the last couple of years, so still really good food. Also on the Riverwalk is there's a couple of like little VRBO rentals that are up on top of these things. They're pretty nice. They're not cheap, but they're friggin' nice if you want to stay like downtown. Actually, Estes Park does have a lot of really good places to eat. There's Poppy's here, Poppy's Bar and Grill. It's more of like a, sandwiches, pizza, that kind of stuff. And then you have Mama Rosa's, which is more of a Italian flavor style. They're both owned by the same person, but they have completely separate menus and completely separate chef design. So the flavoring is quite a bit different between the two, but they're both pretty good. There are some shitty places in Estes Park that you want to skip. One of them is up here. I won't say which one it is, though. I'll kind of point it out, though. Now, I don't like to call out companies that have what I think is not great food. However, I'm really glad that Estes Park has 5 sets of bathrooms, with one of them right over here. So there are 5 sets of restrooms in this town. One right here, kind of in the middle of the town. Oh, and if you're swinging by the restroom, there's also something you can do in Estes Park, which is called finding the Pikas in the park. There's a bunch of these little statues all over town. You can run around and try and find them all. It's kind of a cool little thing. Anyways, let's step off the Riverwalk here and go out to Main Street. Now we're coming out here on Elkhorn Avenue, which the center of town right here is Bond Park. That used to actually be the public library before they built the public library over there, right in front of, adjacent to the police department. You know, the benefits of a myth-guided youth, I kind of spent a little bit of time in that police department. So I was not a good person back then. Anyway, let's take a look downtown. Actually, I want to come back and get some pictures drive through tonight, because this is really cool when they light all this up at night. So there's a restaurant we were just at, and there's downtown, and then this whole section up here. There's a lot of hidden history in Estes Park. Like, for example, the Sugar Shack here used to be the movie theater, and it was one of 4 movie theaters Estes Park had for a tiny little town when I lived here. Oh, if you get a chance to go into the Sugar Shack, say hi to Chris, because he still works there. Well, he works there now, but he had the unfortunate pleasure of going to high school with me. So Estes Park has a lot of eclectic little shops, and when I was a kid, man, I always thought that these were just basically a clone of each other. But now that this town has actually grown up, it's each one of these shops actually has a lot of unique little things, and it's well worth taking a day or two to just come down and cruise through each of the shops and find out all the cool stuff, you know, all the little weird, you know, idiosyncrasies. Like, you know, I mean, come on, they sell all kinds of weird stuff. And right over there is the former site of the Park Theater Mall. There's a big L-shaped mall complex that just burned down I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago. We'll go take a look at the Park Theater here in a second. One of the other things you don't normally check out is there's a lot of little alleys, like, for example, that have businesses down at the end. Like this one's Sandwich Mafia. So make sure you take a look at all the little alleyways and stuff to find the cool little hidden gems. So here we're at another set of bathrooms at the west end of town at Tragic Park. We're kind of at the end of the 2,200-foot walking trail that is the shopping district of Estes Park. So anyways, we're going to actually jump back on the River Run Trail that comes in right here. Actually, also at the south end of town is Penelope's Sandwich Shop. That's a really good burgers and fries. They're actually pretty good place. But this is the end of the River Walk. Another piece of fun history is from Lithium over to West Drive right there. These shops used to be a gas station, and that gas station was actually used in the filming of the 1997 3-part TV miniseries called The Shining. And they came in and they blew in all of this fake snow, and when they finished shooting, they figured out that when they went to wash it down and wipe out all the snow, is that the couple of the bags weren't biodegradable, so when they freaking hit them with water, they just pushed them down the road. So they spent like a day and a half cleaning up, sweeping up all of the fake snow. So as we come from downtown, heading out towards Rocky Mountain National Park, we see the Park Theater. This is the last portion of the Park Theater Mall that's available, and it is actually said to, hang on, and it is said it is the oldest operating movie house in the western United States. And the town of Estes Park actually also says it's the oldest operating one in the United States, but I haven't done my research, so I don't really actually know. But it was built in, do these in the wintertime so that there's not as many people around. Anyways, it was built in 1913 by Fred Jackson, and Fred Jackson actually ran it until 1922 and then sold it in 1926 to Ralph Gwynn. And it was Ralph that added the 24-meter or 80-foot tower and covered it in neon. And Ralph ran that theater until 1963 when he passed away. And then a guy by the name of Vic Walker picked it up in his estate sale. And Vic had no idea how to run a theater. So luckily enough, he actually hired one of Ralph's buddies, John Ramey, who ran it until, God, what was their name? Until Ola and Nicky Stanger, Ola and Mickey Stanger leased the building from Vic in 1968. And they ran that thing for 16 years until, I want to say it was like 1982, where they actually purchased the property. So Ola and Mickey Stanger actually owned the drive-in theater that was down on the shores of Lake Estes. Cool thing is Ola and Mickey's daughter Sharon still owns this theater and the Park Theater Mall, what's left of it. So if you actually go there today and buy a ticket, chances are pretty good you might be buying a ticket from the great-grandchildren of Ola and Mickey Stanger. So anyways, let's keep walking. And you have another set of restrooms over here on the south side of town, right next to the distillery and brewery. So that distillery is a new distillery, and there's another brewery that's right on the other side of it that's brand new. So as we come down the Park Theater Mall here on the right towards the slab, I totally forgot what I was going to say about this. Well, anyway, you see the wheel bar. Oh man. So anyways, yeah, as we come back down past the front of the Park Theater Mall and the slab over here, we've got the, I would say, famous wheel bar, but I don't know, it's more famous here just in Estes Park. Anyways, if you go into the wheel bar, make sure you say hi to Ty Nagel. He had the pleasure of going to high school with me, and he owns the wheel bar. Looking across the parking lot from the back side of the wheel bar, actually, by the way, this is another good place to park, is in front of the post office and behind the wheel here. You might see these two cables running up the hill. That is the Estes Park aerial tram. You used to be able to hike up Prospect Mountain there to the back side of it, but it's all private property now, so the only way to access the top of it is going up the aerial tram. There's a couple of good videos about the aerial tram and like some views and stuff. It's closed now, otherwise I'd take you guys up there. But man, it's got some really good views of the Estes Valley. So it's worth the price of admission. Side note, I used to work for a restaurant that was right over here by the post office, and they also owned the restaurant that was atop of the tram, so I had to haul supplies up the tram every other day. Another good shot of the wheel bar coming back across the river walk of the Big Thompson River. Actually, that's not the Big Thompson, that's a tributary. Big Thompson's over there. So this is the river walk. There's a good little coffee shop right here. It's a McDonald's bookstore, not to be confused with like McDonald's, but you know, like Ronald McDonald. But yeah, Inkwell and Brew. It's a pretty decent little coffee and tea place. But yeah, it's a cool little park, little open air area back here that was not here when I was living here when I was a kid. This is all pretty much new, within the last 30 years, I should say. I just noticed that the Great Estes Park Duck Race is going to happen on May 3rd, 2025. So the Estes Park Duck Race, they release hundreds of little rubber duckies into the river, and then they all each have a number on it, and you can buy tickets for the numbers and win prizes and stuff, and then they capture them all when they get down to Lake Estes. You know, what I like to call it is, you know, a safari jeep has driven into the river and all of their duckies floated out. Town puts on a pretty good light show. I'll come by tonight and see if I can go through Bond Park here and get some video of these lights, because it's actually pretty neat. And you have another set of restrooms right here on the north side of down central portion of Elkhorn at the town hall, police station, and, well, library. I'll walk up past the police department and see if I can get up to the ruins up there. It's just a tiny little walk. It's the Knoll Willows. I can't remember the name of the house. Anyway, there'll be a sign up there. We'll check it out. It is Knoll Willows. It's actually Centennial Open Space at Knoll Willows, but it's accessible from the parking lot behind the police department. No dogs allowed. That's another thing that bugs the crap out of me about Estes Park. You're right next to Rocky Mountain National Park, and Rocky Mountain National Park doesn't allow dogs in the park because they say that the smell of dog urine will change the natural habitat of the animals and blah blah shit. Anyway, if you're coming to Estes Park and you want to hike with your dog, make sure that you hike on the south side of town. The north-south side of town. Because the southwest side of town, the west side of town, and the northwest side of town is all Rocky Mountain National Park. And you will get a huge fine if they have you with your find you with your dog. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tip my head and see if I can keep a little bit of decent audio here. So this little stone ruin here is from the Denver Post newspaper editor and promoter, Albert Birch. And he used to come up in like the early 1900s. And in 1903 he bought this property, and then in 1903 he hired the stonemason Carl Piltz to build this bungalow. And then in 1907 the bungalow itself caught fire. Some say it was because the log rolled out of the fireplace and onto the floor and burned the place down. But in 1907 it burned down, and so the stones were the only thing that remained. And from here, what he did is he ended up building another house down the, well, I can't see it from here. Oh man, that's windy. Anyways, he ended up building a house down below, a little bit closer to the river, and they used this property all the way up, the family used the property all the way up until the 1980s. And then I want to say it was like 2001 or something, maybe it says. Nope, does not say. But anyways, I think in 2001 or so, the town of Estes Park actually bought this property. And when I lived here in the 80s and 90s, we used to just come up here and drink beer. So that's how I know of this place. None of this grading was here. So, but this is a cool little piece of history because it is right outside of downtown Estes Park. There's, the park that we were just at. There's a police station. The movie theater, Estes Park Theater. It's kind of crazy to think that this little dinky town, I think we had like 6,000, maybe up to 12,000 permanent residents when I lived here, and we had 4 movie theaters. So now we have 1, and it's the Park Theater. It's the only one remaining. But one of the cool things about this building is, if you can see through the trees, you got a really good shot to another piece of living history, the Stanley Hotel. So let's walk over to there next. So coming out to the parking area for that little hike that I was just on, that little cabin, is one of the better shots of the Stanley Hotel. So if you want to talk about a building that has a little bit more of a sordid history, I mean, the Stanley Hotel is one of them. Not only was it the, like the motivator for the 1977 Stephen King novel, The Shining, and later the 1980s movie with Jack Nicholson, and the 1997 movie or TV miniseries that came of The Shining. But it was also kind of like a financial ruin for pretty much everybody that has owned it up until John Cullen, who owns it now. He bought it in 1995, I believe. Funny thing is, John paid pi for the Stanley Hotel. So he paid $3.144 million for the Stanley Hotel. And before you think that's a bonus or a bargain, he's dumped probably over $30 million into it over the last 20 years, just getting it into into the state that it is today. So when F.O. Stanley built the Stanley Hotel back in 1909, he spent like $550,000 to build the building, and that's like a little over $18 million in today's money, which is just absolutely astronomical, even for somebody who was as rich as Stanley, who also built the Stanley Steamer and did a bunch of other stuff. But he actually owned it for a while and then sold it to another guy who owned it for only 3 years before he went bankrupt trying to maintain it. And Stanley ended up buying it back from him and then ran it for another couple of years and then sold it to another. I want to say he sold it to the. Oh crap! Can't think of the name of the hotel chain that he sold it to, but they ran it for 20 years and just drove it into the ground. And then they ended up selling it to an investment guy out of Boulder with his group, and they held onto it for 3 years and then turned around and immediately sold it to another group. And that group ended up suing the first group for fraud, because when they bought it in 1970, they didn't even open it. In the summer of 1970, the Stanley Hotel didn't even open their doors because they were like, this place is so dilapidated, it's going to fall down. Anyways, they went through a bit of a fire sale back in 1974, and Frank Normale bought it. And when Frank bought it, he spent the next 20 years basically just keeping the thing afloat, and he ended up following the rest of the guys into bankruptcy and because he ran out of money, dumping all of his money in there. So I knew Frank's daughter, Dawn, from school, but anyway, she was a teacher, not a student at the time. But anyways, so Frank ended up going into foreclosure on the thing, or he went into bankruptcy, and that's when John Coleman bought it back in 1995 and dumped a ton of money into it. But we'll go out and actually take a little tour of the Stanley. It's pretty cool. When I was a kid, my dad refinished furniture up there, and there's all these tunnels underneath the Stanley Hotel, because back in the day it was considered really bad form. It was considered super cheap in order to be, if like the guests of the hotel saw the staff. So the staff had all these tunnels to get to different parts of the hotel, and there's all these little rooms that pop up. Oddly enough, the Stanley Hotel went through a ton of different owners, but the Stanley House, which is right down the way, and maybe I'll see if we can get in there, but the Stanley House actually only had 3 owners since it was built. But anyways, we'll go take a look. Oh, and Cullen bought the Stanley for 3.141, not 3.144. I don't know where that extra 4 came from. I know I suck at math, but even I know what pi is. Anyway. Okay, so there's that bungalow up there, and there's where they ended up building the backup one next to the creek down here. No kidding. I didn't know the Estes Park Police Department had a Hummer. That's cool. By the way, there is some free parking back here behind the police department, and there are EV chargers over there. So if you end up on that side of the lot, though, it's all pay parking. Oh, in the old U.S. Bank building, if you end up parking in their parking lot, they have a ton of cameras that take pictures of your license plate, and if you're in there for more than half an hour, they will send you a bill for parking. Just heads up, doesn't matter if it's midnight. And the 5th set of public restrooms is right here at the Estes Park Welcome Center. So there you go, 5 sets of restrooms, good to go. Oh, and just an FYI, if you're going to be using the trail that goes around the lake, the duck, elk, and deer also use that trail a lot, so you're going to have to step over a lot of their tailings. Just as an FYI. And here we are back at the car, and I know I was a little harsh on Rocky Mountain National Park about the dogs and all that stuff. I understand why there's no dogs or pets in the national parks. Totally understand. However, just to let you know, Estes Park, downtown Estes Park, and a lot of the businesses, most of them are dog friendly. Many of the places allow you to bring your pets in. Of course, not into the restaurants, but they do have outdoor seating where you can bring your dogs and have food outside. Also, all of the walking trails in Estes Park are all dog friendly, so they have poop bags and all that stuff. So don't worry about bringing your dog to Estes Park. You can. So there's the Stanley House, and there's the actual garage. So the 3 owners that owned it there was Dr. something that starts with an M, and then the Browns owned it, were the last owners, and the Browns turned the garage into his parents' house, And the garage, the Stanley Steamers never really went in reverse very well. So they literally had a big turntable in the bottom of that garage that they would pull in forward and then turn the turntable around to be able to back out. But anyways, let's go in and take a look. There's a tour going on today, so we gotta kind of just clandestinely check it out. Little Stanley house. Michelle Butt. So this is train. The original train was from 1859, but this one's been donated. Yeah, it's cool. So these are self-standing stairs that are the duplicate. Actually, these were built first, and then Stanley built the Stanley Hotel and built the same set of stairs in the Stanley Hotel. My mom giving a teddy bear for Stanley.
Cheaper because it's not real tapestry.
But so Stanley designed the wallpaper, and this is the original?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't that valuable.
Guest bedroom? Is this a guest bedroom, or is this where
This
she...
was a guest bedroom,
Okay.
but when the Browns had it, it was her sewing room, and she did her quilts in here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
A good son.
We'll go see if I can find the date and we can...
Did you find him?
Yeah, see, that's that bear girl.
Ah, okay. On loan.
I don't want that.
I don't want it back.
Good advertising.
Take the sign away.
This was the master suite, and Stanley added that room because then he could get more ventilation, and the same with down below. But he did it, and then that door there actually goes into the bathroom now.
Okay.
But the bathroom used to be her, the maid's extra quarters for,
okay.
like a butler's quarter.
Gotcha. So that was the maid's quarter.
Yeah. But we'll go in there. She had her own room and everything.
Cool.
Way in here, and Stanley was in his office, and the doctor came in and told Stanley that she had passed, and he said something like, "That's fine," and didn't go in or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think felt that he'd been with her enough, you know.
So he was literally right next door in the office
Yeah, when she passed.
when she passed here.
Yeah.
Wow. How's it going?
Yeah, so obviously he had the best view.
The view, the main view office.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I did find the bear. Right on the bed. So this was Millie's quarters.
Millie's quarters?
Watch your steps when you come down. Hi there. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
So Millie's here, and behind that door was the elevator that not the Browns, but the people in between put in. And
Oh,
The Molanders.
Bowlanders.
Molander.
There
I
it
knew
is.
it started with an M.
Yes, they put
And then
that
there
in.
was
Dr.
a set
Molander.
of stairs here
Okay.
that went down to the kitchen.
They were the servant stairs this room was built on in 1914, at the same time they built FO's bathroom on when they got running water here.
Yeah.
And this was their live-in maid's room, which was very nice. They had a very wonderful relationship with her. She stayed with them. She came out here that first summer. They came when they were in a cabin over here, and she stayed with them until 1940 when FO passed away.
Oh, wow. So she was with them for
every summer. She went back to Denver in the winters.
35 years?
Yeah.
Holy
And
smokes.
she had a servant stairs here.
That's cool. Oh, so the flooring was cut out at Rocky Mountain National Park? Oh, cool. We're heading to the left.
the Browns had it, they put the doors in to match the side rail here.
Oh, okay. So the side rail and then the table and chairs were original.
I had to rework one of those doors one time.
Yeah.
Like a red.
Well, they had to find somebody that was good enough with the stained glass to match the stained glass over there.
Oh.
And Browns did that, but
And then the staining, I think, is where I was brought in.
So maybe you should give the tour right here. Because I'm just now
All
learning.
right. Nice windy day. So we're going to take a little wander through the Stanley if we can. Let's go check this place out. F.O. Stanley in his hedge maze. Well, actually, it's Colin built this hedge maze a couple years ago. I guess it was done in 2015, which, holy crap, I don't remember that. It's been a while. Yeah, if you get a chance to come in, you got to do a whiskey tasting at the vault. And say hi to McShane while you're in there. They got a lot of barrels that are only available to the Stanley Hotel. So there's that hotel, the freestanding staircase, same as the one that's in the Stanley House. So I can't remember if it was that building or that building over there, but one of the scenes they built a fake. I think it was that one over there, because they built a fake gabled window that they blew up in the movie or the TV miniseries, and they actually burned the crap out of the side of the building when they did it, and they had to replace all the shingles. But yeah, that was a little piece of trivia there. Anyway, I didn't film a whole heck of a lot inside, so it just felt weird. So. Well, and there we go. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me while I do this little tour of my hometown, Estes Park. If you want more information on the town of Estes Park, just let me know. Leave a comment down below. We can either make another video or I can point you to another video of somebody else that has done information on Estes Park. But anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. So Ralph actually ran that theater until his death in 1963, and then how many cars are coming through here?
Sunday festivities, the Lynch House.
yeah, right.
First they spent the day measuring the washer and dryer. Now they're playing in the salt.
Yeah, the wells.
Stay mobile, my friends.